There was 4 team awards and only, for some reason, we only got 3 printed, so I'll talk about the 4th one and we'll get that award out. But real quick, we're gonna have Dolly come up. The criteria for lettering was that I was gonna have them wrestle 10 varsity matches. And Dolly was 1 shy of that, and I know she got better as the year went on, so I was like, I don't want to fudge it, I want to make her come out and do it again next year too. Because from point A to point B, she was so much better at the game, she has a better attitude, I think, about herself wrestling, and I'm excited for her to come back out and try it again next year and do a good job. And another thing was, I think that the injury in the middle of the season, she got injured around the time that Connor didn't really help. But if she wouldn't have done anything, it would have been easier on her. But I appreciated her coming every day and working. And it's not every day that you get to coach a girl wrestler. And it was the first time that I actually done coach or wrestle as a team. So it was kind of a learning experience for me too. And I'm excited for her to come back out next year. So at tournaments, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a wrestling tournament. Most of you probably have been to at least one longer one that you got someone on the team, but they are really like, so I always remember my parents would skip out for a couple hours if I wasn't wrestling and then come back. But these girls didn't get to leave ever. And they were usually always watching and making sure that we didn't need anything. So we really appreciated them being there the whole year, helping out with full time, taking good stats because I had to call the paper usually right after. And if I didn't have them, I would have to go through all of our stuff or do it on my own. So I really appreciate everything that they did this season. And they definitely deserve the letter for all that they put in. So thank you. So Jonathan, this is his first 4 lettering. He was our lone freshman this season. And Jonathan, in varsity matches, he went 9-22. So he wrestled over 30 times his first year ever wrestling. And that's a lot. That's a lot on a plate of someone that doesn't comprehend anything yet. So we asked him to do a lot of stuff for us. We asked him to go up against some of probably the best wrestlers in some of the tournaments at that weight. And he handled himself very well. There was times where I think he blacked out due to anger. But I can't wait to have him again next year because he's a fun kid to have around. And I think that if he just keeps learning and keeps hanging out with the guys and doing the right things to practice, he's going to get better and better and better. I'm excited to see that. So, John. Rennie, I'll start with Rennie. Rennie is, maybe not supposed to pick favorites, but how can you not love this guy, right? I think he's everybody's on the team score. I think every single person on this team, if we could just like pick one person that we all like enjoy, no matter what, it's Rennie. Because Rennie was always smiling, he was always happy. I don't think I saw Rennie have one time. Maybe at districts. Maybe at districts, I thought he was going to hit me. But it was good. Oh, no, but he didn't throw a punch. He didn't throw a punch. Remember, you said you told me I didn't throw a punch. He threw a punch. But Rennie went 13 or 14 this season. It was very good effort. We never knew what quite to expect from Rennie wrestle, and I don't think anyone who wrestled knew what to expect when they wrestled Rennie. That's a good quality to have as a wrestler. He's slippery and to just kind of be one of those guys that you don't want to be too close to. Rennie's that guy. If he can just hone a few more things, I think he's going to be a really good wrestler the next 2 years. I'm excited to have him back.
Did you say the Trojan horse?
Trevor is another one that I expect great things for the next 2 years. I think he had a really good year. I don't know what the records were or anything last year, but I know he improved. I've heard that he got better. 12-15 this year, much like Rennie. He wrestled in a very tough weight bracket. 145 is a very difficult thing to go through the whole season. I expect him to come back, and I expect him to be a part of this junior class right here that's going to be 5 or 6 kids strong. And I really hope that he does, and I do. I expect him to go to state next year. So Michael is the man of many questions, but most of them are always enjoyable. And he had a terrific season as a sophomore. I think that he's got things to work on, just like everybody in this room, if they're coming back, does, but except Simon. But Michael went 34-12. He had the most wins on the team by 1. So he was definitely up there with a few of them. We'll see. But I think Michael just needs to put a whole season together, and he's going to really come into his own next year. He wrestled really well, and I think towards the end, you can really get into this mode of going out, winning, and doing well, and I think he expected that. But when you get to state and districts, it can be a little bit more difficult. I think as he gets a year older, the next 2 seasons are going to be awesome for him. But he was our lone district champion, so it was a really great season for Michael. So, yeah. This next group, probably some of the biggest pains. So Jack's not with us tonight. I'll talk about Jack really quick. Jack, I asked him to do something that he did not want to do. He weighed 182 on the dot most tournaments and duels, but I asked him to be our 195 duel guy. And a lot of that is, you try to have someone in every weight bracket to get points. And, I would even tell him, like, Jack, you're probably not going to wrestle. And he'd be like, what if I do? Well, then you just do your best. And he won actually more matches than lost in those duels. So as you saw him wrestle on the screen there, he was actually wrestling 195 in that specific duel. Jack went 14-16, so very similar to Rennie and Trevor. He had a good season for us. He took 5th at districts and was 1 away from making state. He went up to state, he saw it, so I expect him to come back next year as a senior and go to state. So that was Jack's season.
He was also late for 1 practice.
He was.
We had to send Logan over for junior conference house. Logan will always remember.
Like saying that though, it was hard. I think the most improved wrestler, and I'm not joking, there was a lot of them that it could have been. But Jack was one of my finals actually, because like Mike said, he comes to practice every day and he just gets beat to a pole. And he's still coming back to get more and to get better. And yeah, I really appreciated him doing that because I think a lot of our guys got better for wrestling and doing that. So Tristan, I think did something. He was kind of like Jack, except it was golf. I asked him, I think what was it, like 3 weeks before districts. I said, I'm looking at 126, which was when he was been wrestling. I said, I'm looking at it, and I have a bad feeling that's just not where you want to be. Because it was a log jam. At the meeting and everything, it was terrible. There was 6 or 7 seatable guys in there, and Tristan, who's a great wrestler, was going to get lost in the wash in that. And so I said, can you make it 120? And he looked at me like, he made it. He got really sick at one point, and we were wondering if he made it. And I think a lot of it, he made it. He was second place in districts, 1 match away from place in the state. And I think a lot of that had to do with energy. So I wanted to heat up, I wanted to get strong and come in a little heavier next year and probably wrestle 126 or 132, like what he should have been doing, or 45. But Tristan is one of those guys, he would hit what Connor called the wall every once in a while, but he's kind of like Brandon. You cannot not enjoying it. He's usually there to work, he gets it done, not a lot of complaining. So it was a good joy to have him around. And I'm glad that these guys are coming back next year, and Tristan's a big part of that. So Eddie Marietta. Eddie kind of falls into the same category as Logan, sometimes being their own worst enemy. I feel like sometimes they wrestle themselves before they go out and wrestle the match. And Eddie was one of those guys where Mike and Connor and I would be sitting there and we'd go, he is so good when he wants to be, and when he just kind of stops thinking and wrestles. And that would be like the mat room of a practice, and then we'd get to a tournament or a duel and we'd be like, who's this guy? And what did he do with it? But at the end of the year, he started to kind of figure that out, and it got him to state. I think he had a difficult district, but then at state, he actually wrestled every match that he was in. He wrestled tough. It didn't go perfectly for him or how he wanted, but he wrestled tough. Every match that he was in, one match away from placing at state, went as a freshman. I think that he and these guys are going to be good leaders for this group. I expect big things from him and Simon if they don't wrestle in the same way back next year. They wrestled at state. It was not great. They wrestled, it was probably the most boring match. It was a lot of shooting and sprawling and stalling. Honestly, there was a takedown there that Simon probably could have been awarded, but I'm not the ref. So 1-0, good job. So Darren was one of those guys where being a new coach, and I think Mike kind of felt like Darren knows a lot about wrestling, knows about the sport, and it was hard for him to kind of go, okay, when I just gotta take it all in. I gotta take what I know, and I gotta take what they know, and I gotta all put it together. And I think midway through the year, Darren started doing that and he just got immensely better. He got immensely better as we went on. He started doing things the right way, and feeling that he was doing things the right way, he started getting confidence, and he made it to state from our district. I expect him next year to come back at that 220, 285, depending on where you're at, 132. And I expect him to go back to state. I expect him to do better and improve it. I think he feels that way. He told me today, he goes, I wish we were starting the season already. And I said, well, you got a long ways to go, but just keep it on your mind if you want to improve it. I think he will. So there we go. Logan Cox. But I'm going to say this because this is a good story, actually. So Logan started the season kind of struggling a little bit, and at one point he was like, I want to say he was like 2-9 or 2-10. We were trying to get him confidence, and like I said, him and Eddie sometimes they just beat their head against the wall, going, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. You're just thinking you just go out and wrestle. And so Logan went from 2-9 to at one point I think he was like 10-16. So he really turned it around and started gaining ground. He took 5th, I believe, at districts, right? 5th at districts. He was 1 place away from making it to state. Wrestled probably his best match of the season. And lost 11-9. And if he would have won, he would have went to state. It was against a kid that had head and arm in at the line and beat him. I think it was like 30 seconds, but Logan wrestled the whole match with him. And probably, in my opinion, out wrestled the kid. Just a kid down the points at the very end. And I expect him next year to continue to do what he was doing at the end of the year and wrestle at that level. And I think you're going to see him do much better. He's going to reverse that record and he's going to go to state.
One of my favorite memories was up in Burrs. It was your first or second match, and he goes out there and wrestles for the first round, and then he's down in the second round, and he's just gassed out. And he looks over at the whole team and says, "We need more conditioning."
Yeah. And then he got it, and he said, "My legs are dead. I'm running too much." So I saved don't know if it's the best or the weirdest. Simon is a complete joy to be around because some of the stuff he says is like borderline just genius comedy. Him and Randy should be like a stand-up show. Randy and Simon. And they'd be like multi-millionaire stuff going on. Simon, and it was funny because like, it just hit me, I go, maybe Simon should announce this time. Because he knew there was something good about that was going to happen. But Simon, he and Eddie wrestled at state. He took second in our district. He had a terrific season. He went 27-15. Him and Eddie their records were just very close. Both of them were great wrestlers. The whole season for us at that weight. We felt that 170 was the best weight to get both of them there. 82 what probably could have worked out, but picking and choosing that stuff, and we decided that would have been the best chance for them. Simon, I think that if he can put together the technique that he has it very down deep, and he brings it out every once in a while, and you're going, what's that? And it's good. It's like he picks a guy up all of a sudden and puts him on his back right from that move, and you're going, gosh, he doesn't do that ever. And then you talk to him, and you go, why do you do that? He goes, obviously it's a lot of work. Well, you sit there and you muscle the guy the whole match, instead you can just pick him up and put him down and put him back. But it was funny because at Monroe, I think he finally met his wrestling match. Because he wrestled a kid from Scio, and the final score, it was like a 10-minute match too, because of how much stuff was going on in the score.
You can
No. He beat the kid 22-18. It was like a girls' basketball. No, it was a football sport. And Simon did a great job the whole season, kind of bringing me down to the level when I would get too serious. He'd say something, and half the time I'd go, and half the time I'd be like, how am I supposed to say serious like that? So, I'm able to embarrass him a little bit back right here, but the season would definitely not be the same without Simon. And there's tons of other guys, but without Simon, it definitely wouldn't have been how it went. And I'm glad that he'll be back next year, and I expect him to meet his goal of finishing in the top 3, which I'm not gonna lie, he told me if I finish in the top 3, I'm not wrestling. I'm going fourth. So he's back.
So I got a story. There were some days when we had non-member wrestlers, and I had to wrestle with guys. And I'm an old guy. And so Simon just done with me one day. I have bruises everywhere. And he told Connor that. I said, "Your dad bruises like hair." Connor told me that. I said, "Yeah, he's right."
Cody Rogers. The first 2 days of wrestling practice, Cody was not there. In fact, I remember watching him shoot free throws going, he'll be out here in a little bit. And he did. He ended up coming up. I think Steven kind of talked him into it a little bit. And at the beginning of the year, and I will be completely honest with one, I go, we're going to get him through the year, he's going to have fun. But I swear, I've never been more wrong. At the end of the year, he was wrestling really tough. And his varsity record, this isn't JV matches, his varsity record was 10-10. And I think if you had like another month with that guy or another season, he was starting to do all the right things that he wanted. And I think when I started talking about Steven, if he would have wrestled with Steven all 4 years, Steven was that guy that everything this year just started to click the right way. And it was amazing to see Cody only in one season kind of get to that good point where he was wrestling.
When Cody started, he looked like an awkward basketball player. He was pretty good at the end.
He was. He took 5th at districts. He was one match away, and it was a good match, too. He wrestled a good match for making it to state. And if he would have made it to state, that would have been a really good credit for how much hard work he put in. I think he started the season at like 62, and he ended up down there on like 49, 50, so he lost. Not like bad weight, but he got really just good shape and he wrestled really tough at the end of the year. I was proud of him, I really was. I think, I'm thinking he would definitely love to be here because I think he likes to screw the guys quite a bit. So.
Another one of my favorite memories was that last week when he was wrestling with Connor, and Connor was just in his socks and he wouldn't move his legs and his ankles hurt. He was just laughing and working Cody in every move. Cody was trying his hardest.
He was mad.
Connor was just giggling the whole time.
Let's start with Connor. Okay. Connor, and it's funny because I heard about Mac, and this is like completely no offense to Steven, but I heard about Mac and Connor because people talked about them a lot. And don't worry, Steven, because I'm gonna knock your socks off. Okay. I heard about it and I was like, okay, I'm inheriting something really awesome. I'm not going to be, being a guy that took 9 years off from the sport of being around it and doing anything with it. I knew I was going to rely heavily on these guys and Mike, and we was going to be a group effort. It wasn't going to be me doing everything. We had Rod in a few times, we had Shannon, Ludwig in a few times. Appreciated all those, and I told these guys, anytime we can get a different person in here running something, it's a good thing. Because we get a different look, different, philosophies. Connor got injured, I think it was 10th of January.
Second time.
Yeah, second time. He had a tooth injury. I still think it would look really cool. Just senior pictures. But he had an ankle injury at the Zom. It was a tournament where he was the #1 seeded wrestler, and I think after watching the day, probably would have won the tournament. He wrestled half a match on I didn't know at the time, but a fractured ankle, right? It was a fracture, so was it a tear or tore? So it was a tear. He wrestled half a match on one tendon in the ankle, right? Ligament, yeah. And there was a lot of stuff. I didn't know if it was broken or not. And finally, we went in and we found out that it was. We kind of, really amazing that he was able to even roll around out here and put any weight on it. And at that point in time, Connor, and the reason that he left, at that point in time, guys could have been like, I'm not weird, I've had enough. But there was something in it that he still showed up every day, he made all those guys better. And he really, what he did is he became an assistant to Mike and I, and he ran a lot of things for me when I was running late for a meeting, or Mike was running late, or if I just said, hey Connor, I have to meet with Jesse, can you take him out to the track and do some stuff? He became really indispensable. We could not have done some of the things this season without Connor. And I think, I don't know how to exactly put it, but it really got me back into the sport watching the coach more than really anybody, because the guy just flat out knows what he's talking about. And eventually, somewhere down the road, and I'm saying this, but I think there's a few guys on this team that can do this, but specifically Connor, whenever he's ready, he's going to make a really good wrestling coach. And, just mark my words, someday down the line you'll see it. It'll be fun to watch. And I can't be more proud of him for finishing the year and being there every day. I know that's tough. One, because it's wrestling. And two, it's because it can't do it. So when you're watching guys wrestle, it's just not the funnest thing ever sometimes. So I thank him so much. I think that he does deserve credit and applause for doing what he did for these guys. Because I think he had a hand in making every one of these guys better. Matt is good. So Matt was 33-12. Got Coley down by 1. So Coley didn't have a state, a 3-time state champion on his back. This match at state was exhilarating for about 40 seconds, and Mike and I literally, I think it caught you and I off guard because we were just like, oh. And I didn't even think about time or anything. I just started yelling, stick him, and Mike looked over and was like, oh God, we're gonna run out of time. And without even talking about the whole season, I think I could sum it up. When you have a guy like that, his name was Hans Rockwell, he's a 3-time state champion. He came up to me and he goes, "That guy's slippery," and I got scared. When you have a guy like that say that, there's no greater compliment. There's nothing that I can say that's going to up that. Matt is a great wrestler. He's on the quiet side, but I really think that as he grows up, he could be a really great wrestling coach. He really could. Maybe Connor and him can just tag team Lakeview here in a few years. But I think that they know the sport, and I can't say enough good things about Mac. He's always there ready to work. He would help people whenever someone needed help. He took, third, fourth in our little Lakeview tournament. Third in our Lakeview tournament because Simon was just throwing everybody that day. But he was second in the district. And he took fifth. He broke his own little goal there. He got sixth the last 2 years, and I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And he goes, "I just don't want to get sixth again." And he did it. And I think he wrestled a pretty tough kid, but he was one match away from even going higher there. I was extremely proud of how he wrestled and how he represented Lakeview. There was never any time where he had any behavior issues or anything. He always was a stand-up guy. He never would fit. You can't complain about it. He made it very easy on me to coach him, and I'm glad that I did, because during football, you don't get to spend so much one time together. I got this challenge during the senior year, but in wrestling, it was a really good time to be around, and like I said, the same thing with Connor. I can't wait to see them get back into the sport after a few years when you get whatever they need to do, get life done. So, Stephen Hedlund, once again, kind of Simon rather like. You know, like, he's one of the toughest guys I know. He probably is, like, at a high school level. He's like one of the toughest guys I know. And the way he wrestles, it really comes out. But like, he's the type of guy that maybe he'd shake your hand. And then off. You know, and like, you're kind of going, like, you just wrestled a 6-minute match. You won 9-8, and you just did a thumbs up to whoever it was, you know? But, probably. But, like I said, it's just, there was never any, I don't think there was one time where Stephen ever got mad. Maybe once. Yeah, oh yeah, and that was a grand toss, yeah. But, I think you beat that kid though. And like I said, he was respectful. He never had any issues outside of anything. He always was there to work. I think the guy sweat more than the whole team in one day of practice. You get the guy out of the Can we go back to the hotel and shower? It was bad. Him and McCauley could probably start like a recycled water factory. It was just drenched. They were always just drenched in it. But that's good because Steven started the season probably like 155, and he got down to 140. At one point he was wearing like 141, wrestled 145. Steven took second in our district. He went 32-19, from which I don't know what his record was last year. I know it wasn't that. Yeah, it wasn't that. I think at the end of the year, Connor was going, "Oh my God, who is this guy?" And it was funny, I was sitting there because I didn't know anything about all these guys wrestling. But when you hear Connor go, "Who is this guy?" I'm going, "He must have gotten a lot better." And the way that he wrestled at state, and I'm not taking anything away from Mac or anyone, because they all wrestled hard and they all did very well. But the way that he wrestled at state, he finally like hit that moment where he wrestled as good as he probably ever has. And I'm telling you, there was a match there where he definitely got the short end of the stick. And if he hadn't, he probably would have been wrestling for 30-40. And there's nothing that we could have done about it. He got 2 points taken away from him, and we shouldn't have. And he ended up losing them 6-5. We should have won 7-6. But the way that he handled himself, he completely manhandled the Vail kid. That was a pretty good wrestler. It was not even close. I think Mike was going every move that that guy tried. Steven just caught it.
He perfectly countered it.
Yeah, and it was amazing to watch. I felt it was like the one thing I think during that whole tournament where I'd catch myself getting tired and Steven would wrestle, and I'd go, God, you can't be excited after, you can't not be excited after watching him wrestle there. So he did a tremendous job. He ended up placing 6th. I think he overachieved because I think when he showed up at the start of the year, his goal was to just be state. And he ended up placing in probably one of the tougher brackets at state at that level of running.
Steven was very businesslike at all times. He was very focused, and he's probably one of the few people that can carry this on, maybe with the blue Lakeview High singlets, but he always wore these knee-high black business socks, and he pulled it off well. We talked about for a while that maybe we should get him a briefcase to carry his gear around in, so he could get that side and pop that thing open, pull his socks, and just hit your own.
So, also, I don't know if I was supposed to mention this, but he's going into optometry. But I think if it doesn't work, massage therapy is in his future. You guys out here with issues during the tournament, bust right at home, getting shoulder up. Don't lie, Rick. Don't lie. But yeah, like I said, without Steven this year, without any of the seniors, it wouldn't have been the same. They set a tone, and even without Connor wrestling for the rest of the year, that experience, that knowledge was still there. I don't think that we could have the season that we had without him. So I definitely appreciate it for them and then the Steven as well. So, these guys wrestled over 550 matches this year, 551 was the final total. They won 307 and they lost 244. So they won about 60% of their matches, which is good. Like I said, we had 3 beginners, so that's gonna, there's gonna be some losses. So guys that were in some very tough matches all year. Our pool record is pooled 22 times and we went 14-8. So pretty good season there. We were one of the few teams that had really a full roster. We just didn't have a few lightweights. So the last awards are for most improved, outstanding lightweight, and outstanding heavyweight. The outstanding heavyweight certificate for some reason was not in there, so I will track it down. Then we also have the standard awards for and then like I said, they're a little inside, so you guys will get it. So first I'll start with most improved. When I thought of this list, there was probably like 4 or 5 guys, but if I had to pick one, it was Steven Edmonton. So. I don't want to take anything away from anybody. That was a hard decision, and I think just what I saw at state this year just got pushed over the edge. Outstanding lightweight, and maybe that's why there was no heavyweight, because she read it out to and thought, oh, that was there. But I could not pick between Mac or Steven. I just couldn't. I felt like they both had a great year, both places at state, so if I get those guys to come back up. Shane, you get shit. My son wrestles, just make one. And then outstanding heavyweight, I'm going to bring him up. You can hold an invisible one. I can play it. So Michael, I thought, this could have been some other guys too. I thought there were some heavyweights. I would look at heavyweights like 160 and up. But the fact that he was our district champion, I think that it was a great job, and I see good things for him the next year. So, Michael. alright, so let's get the three amigos up here one more time, plus Cody, but he's not here. So, I considered maybe gonna do it like having music and doing it like this, but I figured I'd do that. But Connor, before he got injured, yeah, you can Connor had this thing. I'd get up there at like 3:30 on the dot some days because of school, and they'd be doing something, and I was like, "What is this?" It was the weirdest, funnest, coolest thing for a while, and I think some guys were like, "Why are you still doing this?" But it was fun while it lasted. So these three are the 2015 Euro Training State Champions.
It was really entertaining to watch. I remember one day when they were really going at the hardest, and all the staff girls and the trainers were there, and they were all rolling, laughing. Yeah, it was hilarious.
The good thing is I do have the video of it on my phone. But I didn't do it yet. I'm thinking more along the lines of graduation. So it will see the light of day. But yeah, like I said, these three, we're gonna miss them. These four, we're gonna take those. Tell us, we'll give them a bowl of chicken and do over the ones. Without these four, I'll say four because Cody's not here, but the season would have been the same. So I felt like a little gag gift, even if it's just something in 5 years where they look at it and go, gosh, that was fun. You know, even though maybe Eddie hated it every day we did. I think everyone in Euro training, Eddie would just be running. So he did hate it. It's something that I think Eddie would sit down with the juniors and go, we're not bringing that back. We're not. So it dies with these guys, but they need to take it. So the seniors one last time, and the rest of them guys, yeah, good job.
So we did get these coaches, but we considered Mike a coach after helping us all year.
Before we do that, I think I mentioned Ron, I mentioned Chan, but Mike and Sandy deserve a round of applause because Mike was there for me on days where I couldn't be there. He helped my practice, and me and Connor would do it. They were in every match. One of them was in a chair with me in every match. I thought it was really cool. Sometimes I was like, oh, you guys are. And it was fun to watch them coach together, and I felt like they got to do that quite a bit this year, which was good. But Sandy was, while Connor was wrestling, and then even after for a while, she was filming for us and allowing kids to look at stuff. She has a lot of pictures, she told me, so I know that if anyone's interested, just get a hold of her and she can help you out. Nice party room, Dad. But no, it would have been the same year without them. And also, I wanted to throw something out for Michael's parents. They sat 4 hours at the restaurant that we wanted to eat at after state and held the table for us. So I thought that was very awesome. There's people that we're missing, obviously, but you know that everyone was appreciated for everything that they did throughout the whole year. Anybody that bought food or snacks and anything else for us, you know, if we didn't know this, we appreciate it. So go ahead. Now you can go ahead. Mike is a coach.
Yep. So we all pitched in a little bit of money, and we got them some gifts or presents, and they are not here though. So, when they do get here, they will have it.
And okay, all done.